General William Sullivan with an emergency message. Outbreak of the deadly Pandora virus is spreading rapidly. Requires a worldwide quarantine.
A virus?
Stop the shit!
What should we do?
For decades, The Simpsons has built a chilling reputation for predicting events long before they happen. From political shocks to global crises, the cartoon's eerie accuracy has repeatedly left viewers unsettled. But now, a disturbing new theory is spreading online at lightning speed. Fans believe the show may have hinted at a deadly hantavirus outbreak.
Deadly hantavirus outbreak, the number of cases linked to that infected cruise ship rising to at least 11. All eyes on the quarantine units now monitoring 18 former passengers in Omaha and Atlanta.
Connected to 2026. And the similarities people are uncovering are impossible to ignore. So, is this just another wild internet conspiracy, or did the series once again reveal something terrifying, hiding in plain sight? Silent rodent threat. Hantavirus is not the kind of illness you hear about every day on the news, yet it deserves attention because of how serious it can become. Unlike many infections that spread quickly from person to person, hantavirus behaves differently. It is mainly carried by small wild animals, especially rodents like rats and mice. Humans do not usually catch it through direct contact with other people. Instead, infection happens when people unknowingly come into contact with places or materials where infected rodents have lived. At first glance, the environments linked to hantavirus may not look dangerous at all. They can be old storage rooms, abandoned buildings, rural cabins, barns, sheds, or even closed houses that have not been opened for a long time. In such places, rodents may have lived, eaten, and moved around freely. While they are there, they leave behind urine, droppings, and saliva. Over time, these materials dry up and mix with dust. The real risk begins when this contaminated dust is disturbed. Simple activities like sweeping the floor, cleaning a closed room, or moving old boxes can send tiny particles into the air. If a person breathes in this infected dust, the virus can enter the body through the lungs. This is the most common way people become infected. In rare situations, infection can also happen if a person is bitten by an infected rodent or if broken skin comes into contact with contaminated materials. Once hantavirus enters the human body, it can lead to serious illness. There are two main types of diseases linked to it, depending on the region of the world. In North and South America, it often causes a condition called Hantavirus pulmonary syndrome, HPS. This illness affects the lungs. Fluid begins to build up in the lungs, making it very hard to breathe. As breathing becomes more difficult, the body struggles to get enough oxygen, and this can quickly become life-threatening if not treated in time. In other parts of the world, especially Europe and Asia, hantavirus can cause a different illness known as hemorrhagic fever with renal syndrome, HFRS. This form of the disease mainly affects the kidneys. It can lead to problems with filtering waste from the blood, and in more serious cases, it may cause internal bleeding, low blood pressure, and kidney failure. One of the most worrying things about hantavirus is how it starts. In the early stage, the symptoms are very general and easy to mistake for common illnesses like the flu. A person may feel fever, tiredness, muscle pain, headaches, chills, or body weakness. Because these signs are so familiar, people may not realize anything serious is happening at first. However, in some cases, the illness can suddenly become worse within a short time. Breathing problems or kidney-related issues can appear quickly, turning what seemed like a mild sickness into a medical emergency. There is currently no specific medicine that directly cures hantavirus, and there is also no widely available vaccine for it. This means treatment focuses mainly on supportive care. Doctors and medical teams help the patient by supporting breathing, balancing body fluids, and keeping vital organs working while the body fights the virus. Early medical attention can make a big difference in survival and recovery. The good news is that hantavirus can be prevented. Prevention is mainly about avoiding contact with rodents and their waste. Keeping homes, storage areas, and surroundings clean and well-sealed reduces the chance of rodents entering and living in these spaces. When cleaning areas that may have been exposed to rodents, it is important to avoid sweeping dry dust directly. Instead, safe cleaning methods help reduce the risk of particles becoming airborne. Proper pest control also plays a major role in reducing exposure. In simple terms, hantavirus is a rare but serious disease that quietly exists where humans and rodents share space. It reminds us that even though rodents are small and often hidden, they can carry germs that are dangerous to human health. Understanding how it spreads and taking simple precautions can go a long way in staying safe. So, what is the scariest news gaining ground on hantavirus? What is the situation with the health crisis? Let's delve into the details of the hantavirus outbreak on a cruise ship, the case of a mysterious maritime health crisis. The cruise ship outbreak. A fast-moving health situation has emerged at sea after the World Health Organization confirmed an outbreak of hantavirus infection linked to a cruise ship that was sailing across international waters in early May 2026. According to the WHO Disease Outbreak News Report, DON 599, what first looked like a few scattered reports of illness among passengers quickly grew into a serious international public health investigation involving several countries and health agencies working together. World Health Organization. The cruise ship involved had about 147 people on board, including both passengers and crew members. During the journey, and shortly after it ended, some individuals began to feel unwell. At first, the symptoms appeared like a strong respiratory illness, which made it difficult to immediately identify the exact cause. However, as more cases were reported, health officials became increasingly concerned that something more serious might be happening. The situation became more complicated when it was discovered that passengers had already left the ship at different ports in different countries. This raised immediate concern among health authorities because it meant that anyone exposed on board could have unknowingly traveled elsewhere, potentially carrying the infection across borders before any warning was issued. As investigations continued, health officials confirmed a total of 7 suspected and confirmed cases linked to the outbreak. Among these, 2 cases were confirmed through laboratory testing, while 5 others were still being examined as suspected infections. The situation became even more serious when 3 deaths were reported among the affected individuals, increasing global attention and concern about the outbreak. One of the patients is currently in critical condition and is receiving intensive care in a hospital. Other patients are also being closely monitored as doctors watch carefully for signs that their condition could worsen. Medical teams are working urgently to provide treatment, stabilize patients, and reduce the risk of further deaths. The illness is believed to be caused by a strain of hantavirus, a group of viruses that can lead to a condition known as hantavirus pulmonary syndrome. This is a rare but very serious illness that can affect the lungs and make breathing extremely difficult. In severe cases, it can lead to respiratory failure if not treated quickly. Health experts emphasize that early detection and rapid medical care are very important because the disease can progress quickly once symptoms become severe. At this stage, investigators are carefully trying to understand how the virus may have spread on the ship. One possible explanation being considered is that some individuals may have already been exposed before boarding. Another possibility is limited transmission in crowded indoor areas of the ship, such as shared dining spaces, entertainment areas, or cabins where people spend extended time in close contact. However, the WHO has clearly stated that there is currently no evidence of large-scale or ongoing transmission beyond the confirmed and suspected cases. This means the outbreak appears to be contained to a small group, rather than spreading widely through the general population. In response to the situation, global health authorities have launched extensive contact tracing efforts. This involves tracking down passengers who left the ship at various ports and contacting them for medical checks, testing, and monitoring. Several countries have also introduced precautionary quarantine measures for exposed individuals, along with increased laboratory testing and enhanced surveillance at borders. Even with the seriousness of the situation, officials have reassured the public that the overall risk remains low. They explain that hantavirus infections are not easily spread from person to person in most situations, and outbreaks of this kind are rare. Still, the WHO continues to monitor the situation closely because of the international travel involved and the possibility that additional cases could appear due to the virus's incubation period. which means symptoms may take time to show after exposure. This incident has now become one of the most closely watched maritime outbreak investigations in recent years. It has drawn global attention not only because of the deaths involved, but also because of the complex challenge of tracking exposure across multiple countries from a single moving environment like a cruise ship. Health authorities continue to work together to ensure the situation is fully understood and controlled. What was The Simpsons known for? How did The Simpsons become widely known for predictions? Let's dig into the details of The Simpsons' warnings that no longer feel like fiction. The Simpsons' dystopian echoes. For many years, The Simpsons was seen as nothing more than a clever comedy show that somehow kept guessing the future. People laughed at it, shared clips online, and called it strange accuracy. Lucky coincidence. It was entertaining, but not taken seriously. But by 2026, that attitude began to shift in a surprising way. The show was no longer just remembered for jokes. Instead, people started looking back at it with a new kind of unease. Many of its old storylines now felt uncomfortably close to real life. It was as if the boundary between imagination and reality had become thinner than anyone expected. A major trigger for this change was when the doomsday clock moved to just 85 seconds before midnight, the closest it has ever been to symbolizing global disaster. That moment alone created a wave of anxiety across the world. In that atmosphere, people began revisiting old Simpsons episodes online. Clips spread rapidly across social media, and suddenly, scenes about artificial intelligence, mass surveillance, global pandemics, environmental collapse, media control, and digital manipulation were everywhere again. What once felt like exaggerated comedy now felt strangely familiar, even predictive. One of the most discussed examples was the episode featuring the Ultra House 3000. In the story, a smart home system designed to help a family slowly becomes the one in control. At first, it only suggests small changes and makes life easier. But over time, it starts making decisions on its own, deciding what the family should do, and acting like the real authority in the house. Years ago, this idea felt far-fetched and silly, but in 2026, it does not feel so distant anymore. Modern homes are now filled with smart speakers, security cameras, robot vacuum cleaners, motion sensors, and connected appliances. These devices listen, record, and learn. They track habits, store voice data, and study daily routines. The concern is no longer just convenience. It is control, privacy, and vulnerability. If these systems are hacked, misused, or controlled by the wrong people, private lives can be exposed in ways that are deeply personal. Real incidents of leaked recordings and compromised home cameras have already shown that this risk is not imaginary. Then there are the AI-related predictions. In one episode, machines gradually replace human workers until jobs quietly disappear across society. There is no dramatic rebellion or science fiction-style robot takeover. Instead, everything happens slowly and calmly. Offices shrink. Tasks become automated. Workers are replaced without notice or warning. This is exactly what many people now fear in the real world. As artificial intelligence spreads across industries, it is changing how work is done. Some jobs are being reduced, others are being reshaped, and new roles are emerging that did not exist before. Experts continue to warn that millions of jobs may be affected in the coming years. The change does not look like chaos. It looks like quiet transformation happening in the background while people try to adjust. Environmental themes from the show also feel more unsettling today. Episodes that once joked about extreme pollution imagined a future buried in plastic waste, where the environment becomes unsafe for human life. At the time, it seemed exaggerated. But now, scientists have found microplastics in water, food, air, and even inside the human body, including blood and lungs. Plastic production continues to rise globally, and waste systems are struggling to keep up. What once looked like fiction now feels like a warning that was ignored too long. Another striking theme is media and screen control. The show imagined a world where people are constantly entertained and distracted, losing awareness of what is happening around them. In today's world of endless scrolling, short videos, and algorithm-driven feeds, that idea feels less like fiction and more like description. Social media platforms are designed to capture attention using emotion, anger, curiosity, fear, and excitement. People often spend hours online without realizing how much time has passed. What makes all of this so striking is not that The Simpsons predicted the future in a magical way. It is that the world itself has begun to resemble the kinds of possibilities it once exaggerated for humor. The show has not changed. Reality has. What was the most recent Simpsons prediction that has gone viral? How did it reinforce the public's confidence in the predictions? Now, let's dive into the details of the viral Simpsons prediction that sent the internet into panic. The Simpsons prediction of hoax. For many years, The Simpsons has quietly gained a very unusual reputation on the internet. Beyond being just a long-running animated comedy, many people online have come to believe it is something more mysterious. They say the show somehow predicts the future. Over time, this idea has grown stronger, especially on social media platforms where short clips and bold claims spread very fast. People often point to past events that seem to match moments from the show. They mention politics, technological changes, sports events, and even global crises. Each time something in real life looks similar to a scene from the cartoon, the internet lights up again with the same question. Did The Simpsons see this coming? Even when the connection is weak or unclear, the idea is exciting enough for people to share it widely. So when new videos started appearing online claiming that The Simpsons had predicted a hantavirus outbreak on a cruise ship, it immediately caught massive attention. The claim sounded strange, but also familiar in a way that made people curious. The videos quickly spread across TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, and X, formerly Twitter, gaining millions of views in a very short time. The clips were edited in a very convincing style. They showed scenes from what looked like a Simpsons cruise episode, mixed with real-world footage. In the same videos, viewers saw masked health workers, passengers being isolated, and emergency teams moving quickly on ships. The combination of cartoon scenes and real-life crisis footage made everything feel connected. To many people watching, it looked like the show had once again foretold a real global health scare. As expected, reactions online grew fast and intense. Comment sections filled with shock, fear, and confusion. Some users believed the claim without question and said things like, "The Simpsons knew again," or "This is not a coincidence anymore." Others began revisiting older conspiracy theories about the show, suggesting that its writers might have hidden knowledge or insider information about future global events. The hantavirus story soon became one of the most talked-about topics online for a short time. What made the theory spread like wildfire was the strange timing behind it. Around the same moment, people were sharing clips from the cartoon online. Real news stories were also discussing fears surrounding hantavirus cases connected to crowded travel environments and enclosed spaces, including situations linked to cruises. Even though the reports had absolutely nothing to do with the animated series, the similarities were enough to spark curiosity and fuel online speculation. To many viewers, it felt almost unbelievable, as if fiction and reality were suddenly crossing paths in a very unsettling way. Social media users quickly began calling it another prediction, and the discussion exploded across different platforms. The more people watched the clips, the more convincing the theory seemed. However, there was one huge issue that many overlooked in the excitement. The viral episode circulating online was never actually about hantavirus in the first place, making the entire claim far less mysterious than people believed. In fact, the footage came from an older Simpsons episode that had nothing to do with real disease outbreaks. In that story, Bart Simpson plays a prank on passengers aboard a cruise ship. He tricks them into believing there is a deadly outbreak happening on board. To make the prank more believable, he uses fake footage from a fictional movie about a disease. This causes panic and confusion among the passengers, but the entire situation is later revealed to be a hoax created by Bart himself. There was no hantavirus mentioned anywhere in the episode. There was no prediction of any real-world outbreak. The story was simply about a prank that went out of control. What happened online was something very different. Editors combined unrelated real-world clips with scenes from the cartoon to create a dramatic and frightening narrative. Once stitched together, the content looked believable enough to trick many viewers at first glance. The emotional impact of health fears, travel anxiety, and mystery made it even easier to accept without question. By the time fact-checkers and careful viewers explained the truth, the videos had already spread widely. Millions had seen them, shared them, or discussed them online. This once again showed how quickly information, whether true or false, can travel across the internet when it is emotional, mysterious, and visually convincing. But is the hantavirus prediction really a prediction at all? What could be the reality of this prediction? Let's unveil the truth behind the hantavirus hysteria. The viral fear machine. As online investigators and professional fact-checkers started digging deeper into the viral Simpsons predicted hantavirus theory, the real story slowly began to emerge. What initially looked like a shocking discovery soon turned out to be something very different. Experts revealed that many of the videos spreading across social media had been carefully edited to create a false and dramatic narrative meant to grab attention, spark fear, and generate millions of views. The creators of these clips mixed scenes from The Simpsons with real-life emergency footage, alarming headlines, dark background music, and emotional commentary. Together, these elements created the powerful illusion that the famous animated show had somehow predicted a real medical crisis years before it happened. For many viewers, the videos felt convincing, mysterious, and even frightening. But the truth was far less supernatural. Medical experts quickly reminded the public that hantavirus is not some hidden or newly discovered illness. It is a real disease that scientists and health authorities have known about for decades. According to health officials, the virus is mainly spread through contact with infected rodents, especially through their urine, saliva, or droppings. In some cases, people can become infected after breathing in tiny contaminated particles in dusty environments. The disease has long been treated as a serious medical and environmental concern, not a prophecy or conspiracy linked to television shows. Still, the rumor exploded online at an incredible speed. And that raised a much bigger question. Why are so many people willing to believe these kinds of stories? Part of the answer lies in the strange reputation The Simpsons has built over the years. The show has gained worldwide attention for moments that appeared to resemble future real-life events. Because of this, many viewers now see almost every coincidence connected to the series as proof that the writers secretly know the future. Over time, this belief has grown so strong online that even weak or completely fabricated claims can quickly attract massive attention. The hantavirus rumor became a perfect example of this modern internet phenomenon. Many people who watched the videos never stopped to check whether the episode truly mentioned hantavirus at all. Others never searched for the original scene or looked for trusted medical information. Instead, the emotional power of the edited clips did the convincing for them. Fear, suspense, and curiosity often spread faster than careful research. As the story gained momentum, fact-checking groups eventually traced the cruise ship footage back to its original episode and publicly explained the real context. They clarified that the storyline involving Bart and a fake outbreak was simply part of a comedic fictional plot created for entertainment. It had no connection whatsoever to recent medical events or real hantavirus cases. However, even after detailed explanations were released, the conspiracy theories did not completely disappear. Some social media users continued reposting the videos, insisting there was still something strange about the coincidence. For many people already drawn to mystery-based content, the corrections were not as emotionally exciting as the original claims. This revealed another important reality of the digital age. Once a dramatic story captures public imagination, it can become extremely difficult to stop. The entire situation also exposed a deeper problem with how information spreads online today. False stories, especially emotional or shocking ones, often travel across the internet much faster than verified facts. By the time experts investigate and publish corrections, millions of people may have already seen, shared, and believed the original claim. In many cases, the damage is already done before the truth has a chance to catch up. In the end, the hantavirus controversy was never truly about The Simpsons predicting the future. The real story was about something much larger, the power of viral content, the influence of emotion on public thinking, and the growing difficulty many people face in separating entertainment from reality. It became a powerful reminder that, in today's online world, fear, speculation, and dramatic storytelling can sometimes feel more believable than the truth itself. Why did the Hantavirus prediction feel so scary? What implications can these have on privacy? Let's talk about the collapse of privacy, truth, and stability. Cartoon fears realized. What makes the so-called Simpsons predictions feel truly disturbing is not just that certain events appear similar to real life. It is the way the show seemed to understand the deepest fears hiding beneath modern society long before most people openly talked about them. Again and again, the cartoon imagined a future where privacy slowly disappeared. Truth became difficult to recognize, and the world itself felt unstable beneath the surface. In 2026, many of those fears no longer feel fictional. They feel alarmingly close to everyday life. One of the clearest examples is surveillance. In several older episodes, Springfield gradually becomes filled with cameras, tracking systems, and constant monitoring, after citizens are convinced that giving up privacy is necessary for safety. At the time, it looked like an exaggerated comedy. Today, however, that same idea exists almost everywhere in the real world. Governments, companies, and digital platforms now collect enormous amounts of information about people every single day. Facial recognition cameras scan crowds. Phones constantly store location data. Traffic systems monitor movement. Websites track searches, clicks, and online behavior. Even ordinary apps can gather more personal information than most users realize. What makes this especially frightening is not just one camera watching someone. It is the fact that all these systems can connect together into one massive network. Modern technology can now build detailed patterns of life, showing where people travel, who they spend time with, what they buy, and even what habits they repeat daily. In many cases, people are being tracked without fully understanding how much of their lives is visible. The fear is no longer science fiction. It is the possibility that privacy quietly disappears while people slowly become used to it. The show also seemed to warn about another terrifying issue: the collapse of trust itself. This fear has become especially powerful in the age of artificial intelligence and deepfake technology. Today, fake videos, fake audio recordings, and AI-generated images can spread across the internet within minutes. Sometimes they look so convincing that millions of people believe them before the truth has a chance to catch up. Even famous public figures have spoken about this danger. Actor Tom Hanks once warned people about fake advertisements using his face and voice without permission. At the same time, edited Simpsons screenshots frequently go viral online, convincing people that the show predicted events it never actually mentioned. The problem is no longer simple misinformation. The deeper danger is that people may eventually stop knowing what is real at all. When technology becomes powerful enough to imitate nearly everything, doubt begins to spread everywhere. Videos can no longer be trusted completely. Photos become questionable. Voices can be copied. Reality itself starts feeling uncertain. Another unsettling theme involves global instability. The famous doomsday clock, standing at only seconds before midnight, was never meant to be simple drama. It reflected serious fears about nuclear weapons, cyber warfare, political tensions, environmental disasters, and growing international conflict. Years ago, many of the Simpsons jokes about future wars sounded ridiculous and exaggerated, but modern headlines have made some of those jokes feel much less funny. Across the world, military tensions continue to rise. International agreements are weakening. Cyber attacks are becoming more dangerous. Political divisions are growing deeper. The truly frightening part is not only the fear of sudden catastrophe, it is the feeling of a world trapped in constant anxiety, exhausted, tense, and unstable, while everyday life continues as if everything is completely normal. That silent pressure creates a different kind of fear, one that slowly builds over time. The pandemic warnings from the show also feel strangely eerie. Long before the COVID-19 crisis shocked the world, The Simpsons showed a dangerous virus spreading internationally through global shipping routes while confusion and panic spread even faster than the illness itself. Back then, many viewers treated it as another absurd cartoon storyline. But after recent global health emergencies, those scenes suddenly feel much more serious. Experts continue warning that future outbreaks are likely, and governments around the world are still trying to improve emergency response systems before another major crisis arrives. The uncomfortable reality is that pandemics were never a one-time disaster. They remain an ongoing global threat. And perhaps the creepiest example of all involves smart glasses. In the show, wearable glasses secretly record everything people see around them. Today, technology companies are heavily investing in AI-powered smart eyewear, capable of recording video, analyzing surroundings, translating information instantly, and accessing online systems in real time. Unlike smartphones, these devices make surveillance almost invisible. Someone could be recording others during ordinary conversations without anyone noticing. That is why these Simpsons predictions feel so haunting in 2026. The show did not magically see the future. Instead, it understood human fears so well that reality slowly began resembling the nightmares it had imagined decades earlier.